Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today I got to be joined by Trevor Stickel, aka Stickman, a fantastic artist out of Edmonton. He pop realism painting is kind of what he goes off of. Uh, just incredible work, lots of fun stuff. So we're going to talk about how he got into art, the connection between art and music that people sometimes don't think about. What is the art scene like in Alberta? Is it there? Are there more talented people than we realize? And we're going to talk about his micro documentary that past guest did called Stickman Art for the Rebel Soul. Check it out if you can. And he's got an exhibit currently happening in New York at Park West Gallery Soho exhibit going on until January 15th. So if you are in New York, if you're one of my New York listeners, hello, go check it out and check out his website for more information. I'll give you the link at the end of this episode here. But otherwise, please enjoy my chat with the Stickman. There's so much to cover about you, and I think I really want to. I always love chatting with artistic people and kind of asking, like, has this always been there? Like, when you were a kid, was art, music,
Yeah,
was that a big part of your life growing up?
yeah. From the answer to both is yes. So, I fell in love. I mean, I've told this story a lot, but I fell in love with our. I have an older brother. So I was born in '74. My brother was 4 years older than me. He brought home the Kiss Destroyer album cover, which
Yeah.
is an animated um destruction type scene. It's kind of Frank Frazetta. Uh, type style, and I fell in love with it. I used to just stare at it, and then I always drew a lot. And then probably around grade two, I always tell this joke that, and it's a joke, but it's true. I was drawing a dinosaur in grade two, and then I kind of looked up because I kind of get really focused even back then. And I looked up, and all the girls in class were surrounding me, and I was just like, "Come on to something here." So I got the attention of the girls in
Yeah.
class, and then from there I started drawing, like little dinosaurs for girls, and then I was drawing Alfred E. Newman a lot. Like I went to Abbott Elementary up here in Edmonton, and I defaced so many desks with Alfred E. Newman from Mad.
Yeah.
I probably owe them a big chunk of change right now. So yeah, so I've always kind of done it. And then in grade three, there was always these little things along the way that kept encouraging me to just kind of keep doing it.
Hmm.
I think in grade three, we had a project. It's funny because I can't remember my childhood very much at all.
Yeah.
But everything I can remember is focused around like art milestones or music milestones,
Yeah.
but nothing in between.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The things that really just stuck with you, and you're like, this is what's important. I'm blocking out the rest of this crap.
Yeah, blocked out a lot.
We're not going to dive into that in this podcast.
But yeah, and then grade three, there was an art project. We had to draw a portrait of our teacher at the time, and I drew it, and he called my parents. He looked at it, he was like, he couldn't believe it. So there's always these little things along the way. Grade six, I think I did something that ended up downtown for the University Ad Games that was in Edmonton in '79, and I was just a kid. Um, yeah, I just kind of kept doing it. And then by the time I hit high school, I was decent enough that, people would buy me a case of beer for a portrait, their girlfriend or mother or whatever on Christmas. And so I was drawing to keep my belly full of beer. So, yeah, I guess from the start, I don't remember not doing it.
Yeah, so it's just been with you. And I want to ask you as well because um I think sometimes people don't, and I've chatted with some musicians about this before, but I feel like people don't realize that there is a very strong relationship between music and art, like actual physical, visual art. I think people don't realize, but I mean, a lot of um, artists are listening to music as they're painting. And then there's, people being inspired by art to make a song based off of something like that. So why do you think there's such a strong relationship between the two subjects?
Yeah, I think it's a very like uh thin line between the two. I think we use our brains very different. Yeah, are very similar. Um, and it's funny you mentioned that. A lot of musicians are also fine artists. Like my agent alone, he only represents six people,
Okay.
and there's three of us that nobody heard of, and the other three are Bob Dylan, Elvis Costello, and John Mellencamp.
Oh,
And my PR agent represents Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers, and Rick Ocasek from the Cars was Mick Fleetwood, uh, Ringo Starr. The list goes on and on.
yeah.
Um, it's a way of expressing yourself, and you know, I don't play music, but I probably listen to as much music as those guys do. Um, is just my way of expressing it without having to learn something else.
Yeah.
Like on my deathbed, I'll probably regret never playing music because it is so much a
It's a
big part of my life.
yeah, it's a huge part of your life, but
And I tell people all the time, like I'm kind of an anti-artist. I don't know much about art.
yeah.
Like if people came up to me and asked me what I think of like Doer or something, I would always say like, oh, does he play bass? But I don't know art history.
Yeah.
I don't know anything like that. I just know music, and I just this was my contribution to the music world
Yeah.
without having to play. Though, like I said, I'll probably regret not doing it, but I'm one of those people that think that, I'm just going to do one thing and do it really well.
Yeah.
So anytime that I think that I was learning how to play guitar, I'd obsess over it because I kind of have that personality. Um, I would probably sleep with a guitar until I was good at it. And that's just too many hours that I should be paid.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to divide my time like that. I'm very jealous of the musicians um, on they get a chance to do immediate corrections. So if they're doing a song, they can say to themselves, well, let's try it a different key, or let's try different beats per minute. Let's slow it down. Let's try it acoustically. For artists, you get 30 hours in, you can't tune direction very well. So I'm very jealous of the musicians when it comes to that.
Yeah. And so when you're coming up with something, when you're working on art, and do you have different songs that you choose from? Do you go, okay, what they're asking for, like this artwork for an album cover, or this piece for somebody, a dear friend, I want to do it for? Do you have different types of music that will bring out the different aspects of your art as you're painting?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I just did an album cover for um, a record label in the U.S. and the gentleman's name is Scott, and I just had to listen to the album, and I could tell it was like a grassroots feel. He's from Colorado. Um, I and sometimes you feel like a passenger. You hear musicians say this as well when they always say like, "Oh, this song kind of wrote itself." You just kind of just feel like you're a passenger. That happens a lot. And so usually when I get an idea or if I want to paint somebody, I don't try to crowbar the ideas. I kind of just put it in my back pocket and let it sit there. Sometimes it'll sit there for like 2, 3 years. Like I got a whiteboard, and they'll just sit there, and then something will happen. And it's funny you brought this up. This happened yesterday. I've been trying to do a Who piece forever.
Yeah.
And I've never done the Who, um, and I have never been able to in 30 years found the concept for that. And then I was starting to work on something else, and then these Tetris pieces started to fall. And then, like within a half hour, I finally have this piece. But I felt like I had nothing to do with it. It just kept snowballing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but yeah, they kind of just present themselves to me.
Yeah.
It feels like, and it sounds kind of like cliche, but that's really how it happens. I'll hear a lyric, a song will hit me different. It's kind of funny, you could listen to a song for 20 years, and then you like that song or whatever. And then one day you're sitting at a red light, and for some reason it just punches you in the mouth, even though you've known it for 20 years. And then the brain starts going, and then the Tetris piece starts falling, and next thing you know, you're painting a painting inspired from a song you've known for forever. So yeah, I just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
Don't force it. If I force it, and I've tried to force it, it doesn't work out. It's why I'm very, very um, critical or of commissions.
Hmm.
Like when I was young, and I just needed the revenue, so I was trying to paint everything. And there's some stuff out there that I wish I never painted. I'm sure a lot of artists like that. I'm sure musicians have songs they wish they never written. Um, but as I got a little bit older and found myself a little bit more secure um, financially and my place in the art world, I was able to basically do it by my terms. So if someone comes to me for commission, they got very little input. Um, Basically, do you want it horizontal or vertical?
Yeah. that's what that's what you get.
That's where your input.
And then they go horizontal, and you're like,
Yeah.
but what about vertical?
The color palette, because when they want it to match their room.
Oh yeah.
Um, and in people that aren't, that's going to sound awful, but oh well. People that aren't like genuinely been doing this a long time or just don't have that kind of creative brain, what they see in their mind as being what they want doesn't necessarily make a great painting.
Right.
Sometimes people just try to like jam so much stuff in there, and um, it's almost impossible to do. I had this conversation with my sister-in-law yesterday, who's a tattoo artist, and there was someone explaining how they wanted all this stuff in the background. All it was doing was stealing from the main subject.
Right.
So it's tough. But so commissions today are different than they were in the past. So and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It just took a while to get there.
And do you find you're like, it must be, you mentioned like inspiration, and so that's why it's hard to do like commission. So is it similar, you hear so many either songwriters or just writers, novelists and everything like that. They'll be just chatting with someone and all of a sudden they're like, I give me a moment, and you need to jot something down because all of a sudden that's a great line for a song, or that's a poem, or that's a great idea for this character that I'm working on. Is that what, do you have those moments too?
I don't leave home without my
You're no
I do not like this thing. I will have 100 ideas that are unrealized by the time I die.
Yeah.
The I'm not great at a lot of things, but one of the things that I hate to say the word gifted, but one of the things I'm gifted is I have ADD, ADHD, but it's kind of a positive for me. So all day long, I basically have ideas that are fly by my head.
Yeah.
Like just constantly. And I can't look at something without, I probably look at things differently than most people without some sort of ideas and stuff. So all I do is as it flies by, I just decide which ones I'm going to reach out and grab.
Right.
And then, like I said earlier, I'll put that in my back pocket. It might be 2 years. It might be 2 days. But yeah, you just kind of, it's almost like Star Wars when they start going into light speed, you just, like all these things coming at you all the time. And you're just trying to pick out ones.
Yeah.
So that's the chaos.
And you have I was I was on your website looking at your stuff. Your stuff is incredible. And there's such a variety of it too. Like there's the look, like the vibe you get, but like everything, it just has their distinct things, which I really like. Like a couple pieces I want to shout out because I just like Disco Lemonade. I don't know what it was about it, but I was just like, this looks so cool. And 1984 was another one that was on there that I just like, this just incredible stuff. And I just love the looks of it. When do you know right away, like before you put the pen to paper, do you know how much color is going to be involved? Because like some of like 1984 has a lot more colors than some of the other ones you've got on there, which are very dark and everything like that. Do you have that in your head?
Yeah. So I will know like when the pieces finally fall. I'm not overly colorful. It's probably to my detriment. A lot of people like bright art. Like that's what they say. Red sells the most, but bright colors sell a ton of art. The antithesis, man. I want to paint everything black. But that's just my rock and roll upbringing, right? Like I said, I don't paint to sell. I paint to try and create a little bit of a world that people my age have lived in. So a lot of it's biographical, but or autobiographical, but it's almost biographical of anybody who grew up within a certain age.
Yeah.
Man, I just try to bring back a little bit of that rebel soul we had in high school, where not everything was so serious. I was thinking yesterday that with the chaos in the world, I mean, everybody just needs to start listening to Warren's Cherry Pie. I think it could save the world.
Yeah.
That's how serious we have to start taking things again.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that sounded a little uh, off, but back in the 80s and 90s, we were able to compartmentalize everything that's happening in the world, but still have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I think we've lost that a little bit.
I would agree with that. I feel like I think I agree with you. Like I think it's important we know what's going on in the world and you want to do and fix some things, but we have to remember we need to in order to take care of others and help others and be there for others, you need to be taking care of yourself first, which is having those moments of fun that is so important that people forget.
Yeah, Jim Morrison was a prophet when he said nobody here gets out alive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, getting back to the color, it's one of the little detriments to me is as I'm pretty void of color. But with Disco Lemonade, the story of how it came about is what created that color.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you read the whole thing about it, but that was one of the ones that was a song that I liked in 1995 and liked the lyric.
Yeah.
And forgot about it. And then, 30 something years later, I'm in a martini bar and this 90-year-old lady sits down wearing like this, like pink dress that's like sparkly pink dress. And she was having the time of her life and she had a little glow ball in her cocktail.
Yeah.
And she was drinking it. It was the exact glass that I painted. And I just thought of Disco Lemonade. And so that lady's out there. She has no idea that she inspired a painting.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of how it works.
Yeah. There are probably a lot of people out there that don't realize that they inspired a painting, and that's kind of fun.
100%. Yeah.
Until you completely like steal their likeness and put it on and go, well, that kind of looks like me.
Yeah, I try to stay away from. Another thing that's really big in the art world is just ambiguous women faces.
Yeah.
It's huge. I try to stay away from that. If I paint a lady's face, it's going to be Blondie or Madonna.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be somebody. I thought that I'm against it. It's just what kind of sets me apart a little bit. Very narrative based.
Yeah.
All mine are just they're stories, and I just tell rock and roll stories or stories through my eyes of growing up when I did, through the lens of rock and roll.
Yeah.
So it's just the experience of people my age through the lens of rock and roll on a canvas, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So I want to also ask you about, I've had them on the podcast before, Kaylin and Kimberly. Wonderful. I love them so much. They're great. What was it like to work on this documentary with them and have you be the focus? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, those two make me just want to keep making movies so I can just keep hanging out with
them. Right? I know. I keep being like, when can you come back on my podcast just so we can hang out again?
Yeah, I keep. We're very lucky to keep going to these festivals and stuff because we get to go and hang out for the weekend. So, yeah, it was amazing. I don't know anything about that world. It was amazing. It is very creative, and I loved being in it. When the three of us would get together and just discuss a shot with Brock as well, the cinematographer. It was very creative, like the painting part of it and like the musician part of it, where they can shoot it 3 or 4 different ways, which is really cool. But what pissed me off about them was they were able to create the vibe that's in my head for that little mini doc better than I can on my canvas.
Really?
So, yeah, like I sat down and kind of explained like a vibe that, Kimberly's got a little bit of head start because she knows me. A little bit of vibe in my head and the feel and kind of the grittiness that would, that kind of comes through in my art. And like, they just picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't dream or what I was dreaming in my head, they were able to do on film, and I can't even do it on canvas. So I love them and hate them at the same
Yeah,
time.
that's fair. That's fair. I like that. Love them, hate them
I
both.
hate it when people are more
Yeah.
talented than me. It's crazy.
And so, I mean, we're going to talk about, your exhibit that's happening, but I want to kind of touch on this still for a moment. Like, people see your art, and it's one thing to put yourself out there through your art, but then to have this and having theaters full, like, I mean, I know it was, here at Calgary at the Cuff Talks Festival, um, uh, like, what's it like for you to have this different aspect of you put out into the world, not just your art, like your face, you are out there.
Well, those are two different questions because I like the fact that we can capture that vibe.
Hmm.
I do not like the fact of seeing my nose on a 12 or 25 foot screen. Don't want that. Yeah, I just see nose and forehead up there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but um, yeah, it's a different world. It's a very creative world, so I really like it. Like now, I probably should say we only are there's more to the story of
Yeah.
this film. Um, you know, when me, Kimberly, and Caleb first started talking, there was a bigger picture of I had a very difficult. I mean, we all had difficult COVIDs. Me and my wife Ray had a really tough one. My kidney failed. I was on dialysis. Um, she was going through the process of giving me a kidney. Um, so through all that, that didn't work out very well. So ended up with a whole bunch of surgeries, and then ended up with a really severe hernia. So then I had to go in and get like my stomach reconstructed, like with a hernia surgery. So my shirtless modeling days are over. Um, and at the same time, when we were going through all that, we decided to take a big chance on the art career. I mean, I was always in it. I was in it halfway,
Yeah.
and I was pursuing it. So I don't want to say I wasn't pursuing it. I was pursuing it, but I had kind of, one foot in the water, and I had a safety net. You know, so while we're going through all this, you know, um, came out of it with a little bit of PTSD and some mental health issues. Um, that kind of came with just how badly everything happened. And through all that, and maybe it was because of the PTSD of the surgeries and stuff like that. But during all this, we kind of look at each other, and I just said, I gotta go all in.
Yeah.
And so we had left our previous art management, um, who was a very famous artist and a great dude, but just was stagnant, and it was just kind of spinning my wheels a little bit. So while we're fighting this medical stuff and this mental health stuff, and she's fighting it as well because she gave me her kidney, so she's got to recover. We also decided to put all of our chips in the center of the table, left a corporate job, and kind of pursued this. So that was the story Kimberly wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And so that was the bigger story. Now, the film industry, I don't know anything about it, but they're not cheap to make.
Yeah.
They're not inexpensive to make. So, we spitballed, we reached out to some people. We had a little bit of interest from CBC. They ultimately pulled the plug after a while. We had some initial interest, but we had to shelve it for financial reasons. And then I started traveling the world. I was lucky enough to travel the world and show my art. And I do these events where you got a room full of people, and then they kind of have a little bit of an auctioneer is there, and they do kind of a hype talk. And then I wanted a video to show before I come out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I want to make this like 3-minute sort of like music video type thing, like a mini doc, promo video. I don't know how you want to categorize it. So I reached out back to them and I said, that project we wanted to do? I said, can we just do like a 3-minute version for now? And so we got together, and that's what this was. And that was what it was intended to be. But due to the genius of the three of them, the girls and Brock, were able to make this thing that was so visually appealing that it caught the attention of these festivals and the Rosies, and it kind of took a life of its own, even though it's only like this little 3-minute piece. People really like the vibe of it.
Yeah.
So that's where we're sitting. And we're showing it, but I don't think the conversation's over. I think all three or four, or I feel like I'm leaving out some names. We have a gentleman named Sid that helped us. We have Levi that helped us. Um, my sister-in-law, uh, Kimberly's partner, Belle. I mean, there's so many. Like
Yeah.
it takes a village. Um, the most underpaid staff a guy could ever have. I shouldn't call them my staff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was working for them. Let's be honest, but uh, yeah, I mean, they all just contributed their time and everything, and so we eventually we could like to see this going to the full project because one of the things, and I'm kind of take it over. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Uh, One of the things I found out when I was sick is I was always searching for um, positive outcomes
hmm
when you're sick. Because I was on dialysis and I just looked around a room, and if anybody's ever been on dialysis up there listening, it's a depressing room, you know. And I felt um, a lot of doom and gloom, and I didn't have a lot of stories of people that were living a. I know they were out there. I just didn't find them of living a great life and just living a normal life after that light at the end of the tunnel. And then even after with the mental health stuff, I didn't see a lot of men talking about it.
hmm
I didn't see people that I related to talking about it too much. So kind of took that on ourselves, all of us, and we'd like to put out something that I would have liked to seen when I was
Yeah.
sitting there. So that's the story we'd ultimately like to tell. Of baby steps.
Yeah. Well, it's a great story. It's inspiring. I would like to like for people who haven't gone all into things, they're scared to take that risk, and which I get it. It could be a scary thing. What would you say to people to be like, don't wait until all these things have been happening to you? You're going through all this stuff, sickness. What would you say to people? Be like, don't wait till that point. Maybe take the leap ahead of time.
Well, I don't want to contribute to a whole bunch of starving artists. So and I don't want to. I mean, it's easy to say. I mean, looking back, I mean, I tell myself all the time I should have done this 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I should have took the jump. I should have, because now my life is amazing, even through everything else. So, we get to see the world. I'm connecting with people. And that part's great. Um, but life gets in the way. I would say, honestly, if I could do it over again, I would do it young.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have less to lose. My problem is when I was 20 years old, I'm the son of a cattle buyer, and we were, and my mom worked a feedlot, my brother worked the cattle, I worked the cattle. Like I grew up in the city, but our roots are very rural.
Yeah.
They're from Tabor and Lethbridge in southern Alberta. And although I grew up in the city, my parents and my brother have all moved back to the small towns and stuff. But just that, I don't know, that country work ethic is something I had in me early. So I thought I had to work,
hmm
and I had to get a house, and I had to get a car, and I had to start my life at 20. When looking back, I could have started it at 25.
Yep.
People travel the world, people do certain stuff. School wasn't in the cards for me. It's a different story. um, I, it's tough to give advice like that. I don't want to see anybody starve, but you, I wish I would have took the chance early.
Yeah.
Less to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't have a mortgage.
Yes. Exactly. Do it before mortgages, before you're super in
Right.
debt to things.
Right.
It's a little bit easier for you.
Right.
So you've got this exhibit going in New York right now until January 15th. Um, that must be pretty exciting. What's that like for you?
Yeah.
Like, it's been going on for a couple weeks now.
Yeah. I started mid-December, and then it ends January 15th. So we're going to do the appearance on January 15th.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the one that when you're really young, you don't even let yourself dream about,
Right.
right? A solo show in New York. And then you get a little bit older, every time you start a canvas, like I said, I think I probably speak for a lot of people, but or a lot of artists. Um, when you're painting something, before you hate it, which ultimately will happen for me, um, you envision it in London or New York. Like
Yeah.
that's just what the mecca. So to get the solo show in New York is yeah. Um, I'd be very excited if I wasn't so nervous.
Yeah. Well, okay, so what are those when so you're going on the 15th, and but like, when you go to your exhibits, uh what's that moment like for you where you're around people looking at your art and they want to ask you questions or give their thoughts and opinions? Like what is going through what's it like for you?
So once I get in there, so the initial anxiety for me is just like nobody showing up.
Yeah.
I think that's every artist, right? You just walking into an empty room. Yep. And then you're standing there, and then if someone does walk in, you feel like you're a real estate agent at an open house. You kind of sit there. So walking into an empty room is my biggest fear. But once I'm there, that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like being an artist for me is it's a lonely game. I'm in a studio by myself. I got music blaring, but it's not like a band. I got no one collaborating with me. And it's hours and hours and hours. I do realism. I do pop realism. So, um, a square inch takes me a long time to do. So it's a lonely game. But when I get into a show, that's the fun part for me
Yeah.
because I get to tell the stories, but they get to tell stories. So if I'm painting a painting, I'll get some guy come up to me and, it'll be like a Robert Plant and he'll tell me about the time 75, he saw Led Zeppelin and he'll tell me the story of that day he went to Led Zeppelin. And I love that shit. Like
Yeah.
we just sit there and uh, we play the music a little bit louder at my shows, right? There's going to be cocktails at my shows. I try to keep it a bit of a party atmosphere
Yeah.
because that's kind of what the rock and roll thing is. And we just tell stories and yeah, I just love to hear everyone else's story and how they relate to a piece, because it's narrative based, but I always tell people, you find your own story.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you a story of this painting, that doesn't have to be your story. I have this painting of a hummingbird in front of a microphone. And people love it. And I have a similar one with a butterfly. And people come to it and they're like, "Oh, I love hummingbirds or I love butterflies." And um, I had a lady once say to me, she's like, "Oh, I love this piece so much. I want to know what it's about." Well, that painting was about being backstage at soundcheck with a very drunk rock star. I'm not going to out on here. A very drunk rock star who was lost the night before in the other city. The band had left. He had to find a way from the other city. He showed up. He had one boot on, and he had to do his sound check by humming because he could barely put words together.
Oh, wow.
Did a hummingbird, and it became this like pretty painting.
Yeah.
But as soon as I told her the story of the painting, you could just see like it just get drained out. She was just like, "Oh, yeah, it's a butterfly, but it's also, a drunken rock star. They can't sing at his own sound check." Um, so yeah, those stories make it fun. But I do tell people, don't let my narrative influence your narrative.
Yeah.
Right? That takes the fun out of it. Aerosmith was in the early '80s was very reluctant to do music videos for that very reason. Because when they sang a song, what they wanted is if that song was written by Steven Tyler about a lost girlfriend,
Yeah.
I'm making stuff, but we'll say lost girlfriend. Um, but to you, it was maybe a lost mother
Yeah.
or just a different scenario. And you see that video, it steals that connection that you had to that song
Hmm.
because now you got this visual to it. So they were reluctant to do it. Of course, they had to cave, but I feel the same way. Like I don't want to steal people's connection, but also if you like good rock and roll stories, it's a good jump off point.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it. So we're gonna start wrapping up here soon, but I did want to ask you, your Edmonton, Calgary here. What do you think the art scene's like in Alberta? Do people not realize that there is an art scene? Do you think there needs to be more promotion about it? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Because it's not one that I see a lot of posts about, like an exhibit. I think it's not as well known, but it's there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough for me to say. I don't do a lot in Canada.
Yeah.
I wish I did better in Canada. But I do sell mostly international in the US. Um, so galleries, there's a bunch. The art world's weird. So there's the different pockets,
Mhm.
right? Like, I'm in the gallery in West Edmonton Mall, which is probably closer to my type of gallery. Multiple artists, a lot of genres. Um, Now that's like the only one in Edmonton and Calgary that kind of do that. Then you got kind of like the galleries on 124th Street in Edmonton, which are a little bit um higher end
Yeah.
type stuff. And I don't really fit in either one. I kind of fit in this middle area. Um we do have some outlets, but we do have great artists.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same reason that Seattle had so many good musicians in the 90s and stuff, is because we're cold.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time outdoors. I mean, we draw, we
Yeah.
color, you know, the, this, the largest, uh, gallery in the world is a gallery called Park West, which is, that's what I'm doing New York with. They travel the world. We do cruise ships and they got some galleries as well. And it's a very, small group of artists that get to do it. I'm incredibly privileged. But what is wild is like three of them are from Alberta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, none from BC, none from anywhere else in Canada.
Wow.
But three are from Alberta. There's me. There's a gentleman who came from Calgary. His name was Jeff Ramiran. And this one is really shocking. I just found this out. He's the greatest guy. I just met him on my last cruise. Is the grandson of Renoir,
Oh, wow.
and he grew up in Edmonton, which is wild to think of. It's a whole story, not my story to tell.
Yeah.
It's a wild story how he ended up, from France to Edmonton and where he is now. But yeah, we had a Renoir living in Edmonton. He was a painter, and um, yeah, so it is a little bit weird that we do have this pocket of really talented artists, and us three have been very fortunate. But there's other great artists. There's a guy by the name of Sean Mackey who's doing incredibly well with what he does in the U.S. as well. He does really good in warmer climate stuff. He paints a lot of tropical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing dude, amazing artist. We got a few. It's being in Alberta. It's very, I would say Canada, outside of Toronto, Vancouver. It's tough to make it in anything.
Mm-hmm.
In the music world, the art world. I mean, you can do it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to dissuade anybody, but I didn't get noticed until I basically went to Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean that I was toiling around Alberta for years. It's tough.
Yeah. It's there's so many talented folks in the city. I talk about this all the time in this province. And it's things people like and want to see and do and consume, but yet there's not enough um help and support in this province. Like, one of my friends who I've had on the podcast, Ben Price, is an incredible magician, and we book one show a year at one of the places I do events at, and it sells out every time. People are super stoked about it, but he's off doing cruise lines because there's just not enough. But people go to Vegas, and every time you go to Vegas, you're seeing a magic show. So I'm like, why don't we have that here in Alberta? He's like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be a thing.
Yeah, well, we're not a we are who we are, and I love
Yeah.
who we are. Don't get me wrong, but we're not a destination.
Yeah.
I feel like when I go to a casino in Alberta, it doesn't have the same vibe as Vegas.
Right.
If people in Vegas are there to have a good time, they could be losing money,
Yeah.
they're laughing or drinking. I find when I go to Alberta, it doesn't have the same vibe. I feel like people are there like it's part of their job.
Yeah. Yeah. That would make sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's tough. Um, But we have when you talk to musicians, and I've been lucky enough to meet some pretty accomplished musicians, they love it in Alberta
Yeah.
because when we do get out, we get out.
Right.
Right. When you finally get us out of the house, like they love playing Edmonton. The crowds are amazing. You guys got to fix your arena situation down there so you can
Yes.
get some more shows.
Yes.
But
That's the main hope is this new arena will bring us the
yeah,
shows that we want.
the Saddle Dome. I don't know how many people know this, but it doesn't have the infrastructure to hold the today's stages.
Yeah.
So they can't do a lot of. If you got a big stage, they can't do it at the dome. So I'm sure they'll correct that. You guys start getting better shows, but um, yeah, we show up when it's time.
Yeah.
But yeah, art is a tough one. We do have a pretty good art scene if you wildlife, cowboy art.
Yeah.
Um, that you go to Canmore, uh, there's tons of them,
Oh yeah.
and they do well. Um, I paint wildlife, except my wildlife is Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. Just as wild. That's if
It's
not wilder.
wilder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wilder, but it's different.
As we start to wrap up, I have a couple questions that kind of tie us back to the beginning. But so first, I want to know like, your stickman symbol. So you're stickman. You got your symbol. It's a stickman with devil horns. When is this something from childhood that you just kept this whole time? Where did stickmen come from?
Well, played hockey all my life, like everybody else in this province.
Yeah.
So my nick, obviously I was Stick or Stickman. Like
Yeah.
that was just the hockey nickname.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing realism, the first thing people to this day, one of the first thing people say when they see realism is, "I can't even draw a Stickman."
Right.
So people used to say that a lot. So then I just started incorporating a little Stickman, um, and then with the devil horns, I mentioned I had a corporate gig for a lot of years, and it got better towards the end. But when I first started there, the company was out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm covered in tattoos
Yeah.
and stuff. But down there, it's Bible Belt, so pretty conservative. So I started going down for meetings and stuff, and like there was no tattoos and there was nobody, um, and so I kind of hid that part. I didn't tell anybody else. I didn't want them to think I was moonlighting or anything like that. So I kind of hid that I was an artist. And then in the art world, I kind of hid that I had a corporate job because I thought it just one uh, devalued the other.
Right.
It didn't, but that's the way my mind thought. So I used to think whenever it came to the art stuff, I used to have this little saying, whatever. I got it from the Hard Rock. I mean, it's songs and everything else.
Uh-huh.
But on the Hard Rock in Las Vegas, they got Slash's guitar case,
Oh yeah.
and it's got a sticker on it that says "Devil Inside." So I used to do that little "Devil Inside" thing because it was just like me hiding from the corporate world.
Right.
So that's where the devil horns came from. And I used to always put "Devil Inside" on my paintings. I don't anymore. It was something fun. You do get some very spiritual people that disagreed with it.
Right.
That's fine. But I didn't really need it anymore anyway, so I don't really do that anymore. But the devil horns will always stay. That's just the rock and roll thing. That's just the AC/DC thing.
I like it.
That's just the pageantry of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And not to be taken seriously, there are people out there that take it so seriously. I'm like, it's like Dirt Devil. It's like the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how deep as it goes.
Yeah. Okay. And now it kind of this you just mentioned it like pageantry. So you mentioned at the beginning was it Kiss's Destroyer album? Was that
Yeah.
that was the one you were. So I wanted to ask you as we start to wrap up, like what are some of those other like classic albums artwork that really stick with you and just you just think they're just top of your mind type situation?
Yeah. So it's just, I love the, I'm not a huge abstract guy. I do abstract in my backgrounds and stuff a lot. I love the abstract art in some of the Nine Inch Nails albums. I loved, going back, Queen, News of the World was cool as hell.
Yeah.
You kind of put me on the spot here. My brain is
Yeah.
I'm a vinyl guy, so I'm just thinking of all my records
Oh
last
yeah.
year. Um, I really liked um some of Black Sabbath stuff. Creepy, like they invented the genre of like horror music. Um, I liked anything that makes now I'm kind of stealing this a little bit from Jim Morrison, but it's the truth. I like things that make people a little bit uncomfortable. Like when you look at it, you feel a little uncomfortable.
Right.
It's something I'm not able to achieve in a lot of my art because it's just a little bit different. But on some of those album covers, I like to be like Gord Downey said, there's this band that used to scare the living shit out of me. I like stuff that scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I love the Manson artwork, Marilyn Manson's artwork. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean,
Manson's another artist.
I just think back to like growing up and all my dad's like albums and everything that he had, and there were such artwork that was a huge part of it. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
and
it was cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's and that's why I got back into vinyl.
yeah,
It's not like I'm not like an audiophile where like people are like, oh, it's the better sound or stuff like that. It may be, but I don't have the ear for it. I got it because I loved the pageantry of pulling out the album, putting it on, the liner notes, opening it up, the whole package. I'm a visual guy, so of course I'm going to like that. But that's why I kind of got back into that. The vinyl was more of the visual than it was the audio. But it also forces me to listen to an entire album, which I think we lost.
yeah,
Which I think more people got to do front to back. These musicians put a lot of time in the order of an album and how they want to take you, ups and downs. And I think we owe it to them sometimes to listen to it in the order that they're putting their art in.
yeah.
But we're very consumable nowadays, right?
We are, but
Very shuffle.
you hear that a lot from people. So I mean, if you, I, th- and people will discover songs too that aren't the ones getting main blasted everywhere.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, if you've got the time, put on a full album and listen it. Don't do shuffle. Listen it from start
Yeah.
to finish, and you will discover something that you didn't realize.
Yeah, V cuts is like when people ask me a lot of times what my favorite songs are, I'll mention songs that like I never heard of that.
You're like, you just made that up.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta get the vinyl. You gotta listen to it.
Yeah. Well, Trevor, it has been such a joy chatting with you today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Your
Fun.
your stuff is amazing. People need to check it out. I mean, galleries around Canada and US, people can you go on your website, you can see some stuff, you can go to the gallery. Yeah, I think you're incredible and you did
Thank you.
do such a great job.
And if anybody's in New York, January 15th, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be there for my show. And then we are showing the film on the 18th. So yeah, you have to be in the area. Come say hi, come check us out.
Thank you, Trevor Stickel, aka Stickman. Such a joy to chat with. Very interesting life. I encourage you to check out his website, stickmanfineart.com. You can find a bunch of his examples on there. Like I was saying, there's a couple that I absolutely loved. I think they're fantastic. Disco Lemonade for sure. And then 1984. But there's so many different ones on there. You get a real taste to see what kind of art he does. And if you, again, love music album covers, then this is perfect because you're going to be inspired by them. So check out his website. And if you're in New York, don't forget his exhibit is happening at Park West Gallery Soho exhibit until January 15th. And he'll be there on the 15th for a special little party. So go and check that out. And make sure to follow me on social media at PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig, on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun ways to pass the time. Happy New Year, everybody. 2026, we're here. Let's crush it. Bye.